All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Panel. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Patrick from Addicted to Combat. And today we're joined by two super dope guests. We got Danny Lags with us and Brady from DFS by the Numbers. Thank you both for coming on. Thanks, Pat, as always. Today we're going to be breaking down UFC 286, a banger of a card, in my opinion. We got 15 fights to go through, so it should be a good time. Real quick, I'll just pass the mic to everybody, let you know what they think about the card, and we'll get right into it. So, Lags, thanks again for coming on. How do you feel about this card?
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. First time doing the panel with you too, so appreciate it. Love the early start time as usual. The 1 p.m. start time, gotta love it. 15 fights, UK card, UK fans, I should say. One of the best crowds in the game. Love to see it, and then headlined by one of the most talked about fights really in the space. Love to see it. Love to hear it. Intrigued to hear what you guys have to say about it.
All right. How about you, Brady? What do you think?
I think the card's pretty good. 15 fights, man. As a content creator, I hate 15 fight cards. There's just so much to do. But man, as a fan, 1 o'clock start time. We're watching fights all day. Then I'm heading to my stepdad's concert after that. It's gonna be a long day, but I'm looking forward to it.
All right. And last but not least, Pat, what's good, brother? What do you think for the card?
First off, what kind of concert? What's going on after the fights?
Like 90s, 80s rock.
Nice, dude. Was he the lead man, the front man of that, doing the vocals, or what's he doing?
Singer, yeah.
Okay, cool. And it looks like you're cutting weight. I like the backdrop. It looks like you're in the sauna with the hoodie on, sweating out the few extra pounds before fight day. Are you replacing Kamaru Usman if he drops out of this?
Yeah, it might be. I'm actually replacing Liang Na for next week.
Yes. Yeah. Love to hear it. But yeah, man, glad to have you, Danny. Brady, always good to talk fights with you again. Mike, I know if I'm in a panel with you, it's a pay-per-view week, so I'm happy to be here for that. 15 fights was grueling to break down over the past couple of weeks, but yeah, hopefully they all stay intact as best as possible because there's some banger fights here, some fun matchups, a lot of chalky favorites since there's a lot of local talent from the UK, but should be a fun time. Like Danny was saying, it's the best crowd in mixed martial arts.
All right, so we can jump right into the card. Like we said, we got 15 fights. So for the first one, it's a fight. We've got Veronica Hardy versus Juliana Miller. Hardy, 6'4" 27 years old, 5'4", the 64-inch reach. And I've got her out of MMA Factory. Miller on the other side, she's 3-1-0, 1 year younger. She's going to be 3 inches taller, have a 2-inch reach advantage, and she's training out of, I believe, 10th Planet. And Danny Lags, why don't you start us off, brother?
We were talking about having bangers on this card. I think we start off with a banger here with Miller. It's a low-level fight. I get, Miller minus 400 favorite, but I think she has, the grappling upside, volume upside, cardio upside. I think she honestly does easy work with Hardy, finishes her on their mat. I have a unit and a half on the under 2.5 rounds, minus 105. Minus 110, minus 115 now. I still think, obviously, it's playable for sure.
All right. How about you, Brady?
Yeah, I'm on the violence as well. The fight doesn't go. This price tag, though, on Miller, what could go wrong? Minus 450? I guess the only thing, minus 450. The only thing that scares me is we have not seen Hardy in 3 years, and the footage we have of her is horrible, terrible. Losing to Bay Malecki is an awful look. The Lee fight was an awful look. Just awful looks all around besides that Viana fight. If she made the improvements over this last couple of years, this line could look really wide because I think Miller's still very green, still needs to work on a lot of things. But if Hardy shows up and looks like she did 3 years ago, Miller smokes her. It's just I'm scared that Hardy might have made improvements over this time off. So as far as the money line goes, no way. But yeah, I'm with Lags. I think violence is the way to go. I think Miller can get on top, TKO her. I think Miller can sub her. And then we saw Hardy get that sub in the first round against Polyana Viana. So I think violence is probably the way to go for this one. And I'm not touching that big chalky price tag on Miller.
Makes sense. How about you, Patrick?
Yeah, it's a super wide money line for sure. I think Brady was correct on that. And then Danny had a good point about the cardio being one of the difference makers in the favor of Juliana Miller. So no way she should be a minus 450 favorite over anybody with her little experience, but her grappling looks on point if this makes its way to the mat. I think Macedo or Veronica Hardy, I think she's a lot better than what we've seen her put forth in the cage. I think she's more skilled in that, but her energy management is terrible, but she's super explosive and has got really fast hips. So like the arm bar from guard, busting some parlays, I think is definitely in play here. And 3 years off, man, at 27 years old, she could have gotten better. But yeah, what we saw last time was horrendous. It was up a weight class against Bea Malecki, but that was one of the worst performances you could expect. So their last fight, I can see where the money line is at. But sheesh, yeah, going with Miller for the win, but no action. I do like the violence plays that they have, though.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to add. Like you guys said, Miller at this price, you can't touch it. Not going to play her ITD or anything like that. I think Miller should dominate with the grappling, but her striking to me sucks ass. She's super hittable. And Hardy, not a great striker either, but she jumps into the pocket well. She closes the distance quickly. Got good output at least. I think she'll land a little bit, but I do expect Miller to just take her down, dominate. The one thing I'm interested in is maybe like a late prop on Miller. But right now, Bet Online has round 3 at plus 500, which is stupid. So
that's embarrassing.
Yeah, I can't believe it. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to see what the other books give us. And if I get plus 1,000, I'll sprinkle that. But that's it for me with this fight.
I think the last thing I'll add here is I think the real thing for me is like if she is covering this line, like a minus 450, minus 500, she's finishing a large portion of that. And we're getting that around pick 'em price. So I think it's a steal for that price. And I would much rather have an inside the distance or an under than the minus 450 money line.
Yep. Makes sense. But all right. We can move on to the next fight, and I think this one's going to be a lot of fun. We've got Jai Herbert versus Ludovic Klein. Herbert, 12-4-0. He's 34 years old, 6'1" with the 77-inch reach, and I've got him at Team Renegade. Klein, 19-4-0. He's going to be 6 years younger at 28. He's going to give up 4 inches in height, give up 5 inches in reach, and I've got him at Spartacus Fight Gym. Brady, why don't you start us off, brother?
Yeah, I like Klein here. Not sure if I'm going to get to the money line, though. It looks like I kind of missed the boat. He opened at minus 130. He was sitting around like the minus 155 range for a while. Currently minus 193 on Bet Online. So I don't think I'll get there, but yeah, I like him to win the fight. I think he has more ways to win here. I think he's the more durable fighter, more defensively sound. And he's going to be more likely to grapple as well. He can hit takedowns. He has multiple submissions on his record as well. I guess one thing I'm kind of debating on playing is another potential violent spot. It looks like the fight doesn't go is currently minus 180, which seems pretty solid. Klein 84% finish rate, Herbert 83%. And then they have a combined, looks like 8 losses, 7 of which coming inside the distance. Herbert with only a 42% striking defense and no chin. I mean, it seems like I should be playing violence, but I could also see a scenario where Klein kind of grinds it out. So as of now, I don't have a play, but the look for me at this point would probably be that under where the fight doesn't go. But yeah, I definitely think Klein gets it done and has more ways to do so.
All right. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, I got a 2-unit money line bet on Klein at minus 155. I like him here. He's definitely looking better these days at 155. I think this is his 3rd time now in a row at 155. The Mason Jones underdog play was awesome. He came through and looked pretty great. So, being an equal opportunity finisher, I didn't want to pick a method on this. I know Brady pointed out the durability difference between the two. Certainly that goes in the favor of Klein, and Jai Herbert has a way of doing damage very early in the fight and then somehow dropping the ball. So yeah, that does worry me. I think Herbert is live to certainly get an inside the distance finish, but I think Klein's got the inside the distance potential as well as minute winning equity too.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you guys as well. I'm on Ludovic Klein. I got the same line as you, Pat, minus 155. And kind of just what Brady said. Like, I think that he's got more ways to win, Klein. I think that in the pocket, up close, he's going to be the better guy. He's going to be more dangerous. Definitely has more power, in my opinion. At range, I think Herbert is going to land a bit, but I think Klein is smart enough not to just stay out at range against a guy like Herbert, who's got a 5-inch reach advantage against him. Seems like an intelligent fighter for the most part. He can grapple when he has to. And when you look at his 2 UFC losses, I don't think that Herbert will really recreate either of those situations. The first one, it was Mike Trezano, right? And he was using a ton of lateral movement, made Ludovic Klein work. A lot of people felt that Klein still won that fight. I am biased. I had Trezano, so I'm not going to say anything there. And on the other one, it was Nate Landwehr. And how does he fight? A ton of pressure. He just doesn't stop moving forward. And that's not how Jai Herbert fights either. So unless he's just destroying him at range and Klein is not fighting smart, I really think he should run away with this. At the current line, minus 193, I'm seeing minus 210. I don't like that. But if you can get anything closer, minus 174, I think it's still pretty good. How about you, Danny?
Yeah, I was adding there. I was another guy who had Trezano in that fight against Klein, and just because I'm not really sold as Klein for Klein like long term in the UFC. Really, like I get it. Like he hits hard. Seems like he has a solid durability edge here against Herbert, but like the volume is not really there for me. And same with like the wrestling. I get it. He does have a wrestling path, but it's not like he's diving on legs either. So, I get the violence angle just because two big hitters, Herbert bit chinny, not a ton of defense, but I could see just more like a tepid out, low pace fight. So yeah, just a pass fight for me.
All right. And we can move on to the next fight then. We've got a fight. Joanne Wood versus Luana Carolina. Wood 15-8-0. She's 37 years old now, 5'6" with a 66-inch reach, training out of Syndicate MMA. On the other side, Carolina, she's 8-3-0, 29. She's going to be 8 years younger. Same height. She's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage, training out of Team Lucas Minero. Patrick, why don't you start us off?
I like this fight for Wood. I think she gets the decision win here. I know it was around -125 decision. Her money line, I was ready to play her money line too. Like I got really confident in Joanne Wood here. I'd have my guy Lou Betya, who I see in the chat, talk me off. Felt like I was begging him to like not have me pull the trigger and put stacks of cash on Joanne Wood. So it successfully talked me off it. He's like, she's terrible. Why would you do that? But I like the matchup, dude. I just striker for striker. Neither girl here is really going to have like the big threat of a takedown going their way. I think if anybody, Joanne Wood should control the cage wrestling and the clinch work, but she's just a better Muay Thai fighter than Luana Carolina. So outside of the lens of like, Joanne Wood's 37, Luana Carolina's 29, they could maybe, there could be some regression for the older woman, some upside improvements for the younger woman. Outside that lens, like skill for skill, I like Joanne Wood to pull away with this pretty easily.
Yeah, I think it's funny you said Lou talked you off. I also really like this spot for Wood. I am very tempted to play it. I've been trying to talk myself off of it because -173 on Wood just doesn't sound very good. But I think I'm eventually going to get to the decision prop. I'm just kind of waiting to see what other books give us. It's -130 on Bet Online, which I don't really want to play. But yeah, I like Wood here. I think she's going to be the better striker. When I first looked at the matchup and the line, I was like, I think I'm going to play Carolina. Like I remember her being a pretty good striker herself. Mm-hmm. And then I run back the tape, and she's a decent striker, but she's so hittable. Like we're going to talk about it quite a bit with some of these guys, but she's got that like giraffe defense where she's just so long, has her head right up. Like she's going to be very hittable. And I think Wood is going to hurt her. I think she's going to outstrike her. I don't really think she gets a finish, but like if Tajika's right, or if she gets a knockout because Carolina has terrible striking defense, I'm going to be pretty upset that I played her decision. So we'll see if I end up doing it. I just don't want to lay the chalk on her money line. I don't want to play that much on it. Thinking about parlaying her with someone later. We'll see. Going to listen to you guys, see what you guys think. How about you, Danny?
So what I'll add on top of like the method of victory and whatnot, I don't think she's KOing her at all. I mean, it'd have to be positional TKO really. And the subs live, I get it, but and then to add on to the decision, like it's -130 versus the money line at -170. Like I'd rather just eat the chalk of the money line if you like her that much. Yeah, I think it's a solid just step down in competition for Wood. Should be a good spot for her. This just reminds me a lot of like the Cody Garbrandt, Trevin Jones fight where it's like solid step down for Cody. Should have him covered, but it's like -180 on Cody. I'm all right passing. Should be a good spot. Line's probably about accurate, and that's kind of how I feel about this with Wood. Should be able to keep the fight standing. Carolina doesn't have any wrestling upside. Should be a good fight for Wood.
Yeah, I laid the chalk on Garbrandt there, and I did not feel good in round 3. I'll tell you that. Brady, how about you, man?
Yeah, I agree. I think it should be a good spot for Wood. For me personally, for my mental health, I will not be betting on this fight, though. I mean, this is such a step down in competition for Wood, going from Santos and Grasso. My concern, though, it looks like she's checked out. And I know she's losing to really good competition. She just looks a little off in there. It looks like she doesn't want to be there. And if she doesn't want to be there, she could potentially lose this fight. I know Carolina's not great, but she's decent. She's going to be bigger. But, I mean, this should be Wood all day. No props stick out. The money line doesn't stick out. Nothing sticks out. I probably should be betting Wood here. It's just, is this a retirement fight, like confirmed? Like I could have swore she was supposed to retire her last fight.
I didn't think so. Not that what I know, but she's also like 1-4 in her last 5.
Yeah,
hasn't looked great.
Yeah. I could have swore she was going to retire. Maybe this is her retirement fight, but
I was on my guy Dale Punchlist MMA. I was on his podcast last night, and he did the best full retirement speech in the like Joanne Wood Scottish accent voice.
Really?
I was dying laughing. It was so I can't get it out of my head. So
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, so like if she does lose and retire, we gotta clip that of Dale doing that and play it.
Yeah, More of the story, I'm not betting this fight.
All right, we can move on to the next fight then. For this one, we've got, let me make sure it's the right one. It is. Okay, we got Jake Hadley versus Malcolm Gordon. Hadley 9-1-0. He's 26, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. And I've got Team Renegade for him as well. Gordon 14-6-0. He's 6 years older. Going to be the same height, have a 2-inch reach advantage. Training out of Adrenaline MMA, training and fitness. I'll start us off. I mean, I don't think there's really much to say. I think Hadley should dominate in this fight. Malcolm Gordon, terrible chin, terrible striking defense, terrible striking of his own. I think that Hadley, while I don't think he's the best striker in the world, he's a pretty crisp boxer, keeps the guard high. Good. I think it's like a 61% striking defense for him. And I think he can wrestle all he wants here. I mean, Malcolm Gordon has a 9% takedown defense. He looked okay in certain moments against Mokaev, but I think that was more so on Mokaev than it was on Gordon. So I don't really see a path for him. I don't see him winning a decision. I don't really see him subbing Hadley. So I like Hadley. Have him in one parlay. I'm kind of not really, I don't know. I'm a little nervous to just parlay him across the board because I feel like we've seen him kind of tweak out sometimes in a fight. So we'll see what I end up doing with it. I didn't want to play the ITD at -200 either. It's probably parlayable, -190 now. I don't know. What do you guys think? Danny?
Yeah, I think Hadley largely is a solid parlay piece this week because I think he can dominate in the grappling. Should be able to hold him down pretty easily. Like, I think people are confused a little bit from the Mokaev fight going to this fight. I think personally that Hadley's a more dangerous grappler on top and more dangerous to finish the fight than Mokaev. Obviously, I'm not saying he's a better grappler than Mokaev, but yeah, more liable to finish the fight. I was looking a little bit at the over 1.5. Not that I have a ton of interest at it, but like -150-ish. I don't think he runs through Malcolm Gordon personally. I think he has just a more control-y, dominant performance and can probably finish him late. But yeah, not a ton of interest for me.
How about you, Brady?
Yeah, I actually did parlay up Hadley around -350. He's still there on a couple books at that price tag. Yeah, I mean, I see him winning this in a bunch of different ways. Like I can see him knocking out Malcolm Gordon, who has like a 40% strike and defense, and pound for pound, probably the worst chin. I mean, I remember watching tape on this guy prior to the UFC, and every single fight I watched with Gordon, he would either get knocked out or wobble in the fight and come back and win. I mean, this guy's chin is a serious problem. So yeah, I think Hadley can knock him out. I thought Hadley's striking looked really, really good in his last fight, much improved. On top of that, Malcolm Gordon sports a 9% takedown defense. So if Hadley wants to, he can take down Malcolm Gordon. Hadley's a very good grappler, so I think he can sub him. And then I could also see him winning a decision. So I'm just going to parlay him up. I think they're kind of whack for some of these violence prices. I mean, this is a flyweight fight at the end of the day. So this fight doesn't get the decision opened up at like -275. That's wild. It is coming down a little bit, -225. I think it is a violent fight. I think it does finish, but I'm not going to be laying that price tag on it. I just like him as a parlay piece, and I think it gets it done. Either knockout, submission, or decision. I guess I'd lean probably like maybe submission, but I like him to get the job done regardless.
All right. How about you, Pat? Any shot you're on the dog?
No, but that is a problem that Brady just highlighted, which I hate. And they're getting worse with it when they have these giant flyweight favorites like a Mokaev or a Hadley. And you got to just deal with the fact that, like, look, it's still a flyweight fight. Like, the stats would tell you that these are going to go over more than not, at least halfway through the fight. But they still market like, they're doing you a favor by you having to pay so much money for this not to go to the decision. But yeah, Malcolm Gordon, one of the chinniest chins to ever grace the 125 division. I hate betting on fighters like that, him or like Matt Schnell, people where, they might have an okay skill set, but you can't trust the durability at flyweight. It's going to be terrible. So I'm taking Jake Hadley. I think he should dominate. At the very baseline, he can strike even his way to a victory here over 3 rounds. Even if this didn't touch the mat, I think he could win this fight just by striking. So, yeah, I don't have any plays on this yet, but maybe I will add Hadley to some D-Gen parlay.
Pat, I don't want to ever hear you compare Malcolm Gordon to Matt Schnell ever again.
No, they're chin by chin. When these guys retire and they donate their chins to the chinniest of chin museums, they're going to be side by side in a glass case.
That's fair. That's fair. But all right, we can move on to the next fight. This is one that I spent an absurd amount of time taping for no damn reason. We've got Christian Leroy Duncan versus Dusko Todorovic. Duncan 7-0, undefeated as a pro. He's 27, 6'2". Couldn't find his reach no matter how hard I tried. And I've got him out of Range Martial Arts Academy. Actually, no, he's at Tiger Muay Thai. Todorovic, 12-3-0. He's 1 year older. He's going to be 1 inch shorter. 74-inch reach, training out of Secutor MMA. Danny, what do you think for this one?
To be honest with you, I think Christian Duncan, like long term, is a fade in the UFC. Like I do think he's dynamic. He's a finisher on the feet, but like his work rate's not the best. I think he can be taken down and held down. The problem with Dusko is like I don't rate his wrestling the best. His chin isn't the greatest. He fights with his hands down. I think Duncan probably knocks him out at some point, but I just think it's a tough test. By far, like the hardest guy he's fought to date.
All right. How about you, Brady?
Yeah, I just hate the line. And if I didn't hate Dusko, I'd probably be betting him here. But I hate Dusko, man. I mean, like Lag said, his wrestling's atrocious. His strike defense is very bad. Leaves that chin up in the air. I see him getting knocked out. I just don't want to lay this price tag on Duncan at this point. I mean, he was a much better price tag earlier in the week, around like minus 170 or so, but minus 220 at this point, I can't quite get there. And like even the props, like, yes, this fight should probably finish inside the distance. The fight doesn't go like minus 350, something like that. And the under's like juiced to minus 120. So if anything, I might take a shot at like the over, or maybe like a fight starts round 2, depending on what
I was actually interested in a little bit in the over 1.5 because I think Dusko is probably going to try to implement the grappling, try to slow the fight down. And yeah, like I said, Duncan's pace isn't that great, so I think the over at like evens is a decent look.
Yeah, I think over, or maybe like the fight starts round 2 is something I might be considering, depending on the price tags.
All right, how about you, Pat?
I paid the chalk on this one. I got just a unit on Duncan at his money line at minus 190. I got another half unit on the inside the distance at minus 110. I think this is a good matchup for him. It seems like one of those spots with Todorovic, like the two guys just mentioned, like just pulling back with his head up in the air, his hands down. Just seems like his head's going to get, knocked off his shoulders in this one at some point. I like Duncan's skill set. I think he's a very explosive, athletic guy. One of the better guys to come out of Cage Warriors, and he's got, not the best takedown defense, but his get-up game is explosive, and he doesn't seem to like gas out. Usually if you can control a dynamic striker like that for a round, get his arms tired, round 2, he's not really that dangerous. Duncan's still dangerous. Like he doesn't come like without that much pep in his step in round 2. There's going to be some harder matchups if he can get through Todorovic and they give him like I don't know, one of these other lower level guys like a Claudio Ribeiro or like I don't know, Julian Marquez or some fun like slug it out matchup. That's cool. As soon as he faces like who am I thinking of? Like Jacob Malkoon. Like a Jacob Malkoon. Yes.
I'll take Barrio over Duncan.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody that can like ground him for long periods of time successfully, sure. But for now, I think there's some fun matchups, and I think he wins on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Duncan too. I'm not playing him though. Like I said, I taped this for so long because I really just felt like I should be playing Duncan, but I couldn't get there, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. I was looking at it when it was minus 179, and then it moved down to minus 200, and I was like, you know what? Thank God. Like now it's not playable. Not going to kick myself if I play him and lost. I did play the over that you guys mentioned. I got it at minus 105. I put a unit on it. I like it. Like Chris Duncan, he's got a very low output, in my opinion. He's a bit of a slow starter. And I do expect Dusko to come out here and at least try to grapple, at least try to wrestle. He can do it. He's not amazing at it, but Duncan's takedown defense is not very good. His get-ups are very good, and he works hard to get up. He's quick with it. He doesn't just lay on his back, but I think it could be enough to kind of get us over that 7.5-minute mark. I do think Duncan eventually knocks him out, kind of just envisioning like Dusko running in there like he always does with his chin up, elbow, knockout. Duncan loves his elbows. He's nasty with them. So that's kind of what I see happening. I think I'm probably just going to end up only on the over unless we get like a nice Duncan KO prop on another book. It's plus 115 on BetOnline.
I was going to say, yeah, we're on FanDuel. You could do the KO decision line. Not that I expect it to be much better than the money line, but yeah, you could always go that way too if you like it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a little bit lower, it might be playable, like minus 150 maybe. But all right, we can move on to the next fight. This is another one that I'm really looking forward to. We've got Lerone Murphy versus Gabriel Santos. Murphy, he's 11-0-1, 31 years old, 5'9" with a 74-inch reach, training out of Manchester, top team. Santos, he's 10-0, undefeated. He's going to be 5 years younger, same height, giving up 2 inches in reach, training out of Evolution Thai MMA. Brady, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this fight too. This is probably my favorite prelim on the card. I mean, I like both these guys. I was actually really impressed with what I saw from Gabriel Santos. I still think he's a little bit green, still makes a lot of mistakes on the mat. He'll give up position. He'll be content to kind of lay on his back and play jiu-jitsu. On the feet, he's very, very hittable as well. So that's not good. And I think he has a decent ceiling in the UFC. It's just in this matchup specifically, I don't think he gets past Murphy here. I think Murphy's going to give him some serious problems early on in this matchup. Murphy hits very, very hard. Just ask Ricardo Ramos. Ask Makwan Amirkhani. I mean, the ground and pound that Murphy was landing on Ramos was vicious. Knocked him out like twice in that fight. So yeah, I like Murphy here, and I was actually shocked to see the KO price earlier in the week on Murphy. It was like plus 400. So I put a little bit on that. I think Murphy knocks out Santos and does it pretty early. We've seen Santos knocked down like multiple times. We've seen him hurt a lot. He's been able to come back. I'll give him that. But Murphy can crack. He can crack hard. So I like Murphy to get this finish. The money line opened up like minus 135 on DK. I didn't hate it there. Where it's at now, I wouldn't really touch it just because I do give Santos, if he is able to get the fight down to the mat, he can have success. And Murphy has struggled with the takedown defense and the get-up game at times. But I think Murphy gets the knockout here. That's kind of how I'm playing it. Instead of this money line, I like that knockout prop. I think it's pretty juicy there.
All right, I like it. How about you, Pat?
Yeah, I saw that minus 135 on Murphy, and I just dove at DK and put down 3.5 units on it. I like it a lot. I feel worse about it now because now I'm thinking of like all the ways this could go wrong. If Murphy is coming back from this little layoff and he's looking for a highlight reel KO, and just that big moment never comes, or if Santos does show like some ability to get the guy's back, get him in a body triangle for long periods of time. Like Santos is really good as far as prospects go. He's great. 10-0 record coming out of the LFA, but this is his first fight outside of Brazil. Still a young guy at 26. This is like his first big moment, is out of his country and on short notice. So just the intangibles, like give Delaro, Murphy the skill set, and Santos is like a good pressure fighter as far as his Muay Thai, but not the best footwork, not the best head movement. I think Murphy does put him out by knockout, and plus 400 on that, like Brady said, is amazing.
Yeah, I'm on Murphy as well. I think the line dropped on DK like Saturday night or something, and I was drunk after the fights and all that, and I saw the line, and I was like, I don't know if I'm just drunk, but this looks really good to me. So I played 3 units on it as well. And I know Santos pretty well because I do LFA stuff as much as I can. And he is good. He cost me money in his last fight. I tried to fade him against this guy, Delano, and he was getting hit a lot. That was my read. I thought that he was going to get hit and eventually knocked out. But he was able to take it. And then eventually he's the one who got the knockout. It went to the body, pretty crisp, put the guy down. I just think Murphy, I think this is a levels fight. I think it's as simple as that. Santos is a really good prospect. I'm super hype. He's in the UFC. I think he's going to be something for sure. I just think this is too much too soon. Murphy, he's really good, really well-rounded. He can do pretty much everything. He doesn't wrestle too much. Don't really see that in his game, but his striking's really good. I would like a little bit more output out of him. I think that Santos could win minutes here if he's just letting it go more, because Murphy, a little bit of a low output for me. But overall, I think he's just going to be the better guy. I do think a knockout is live because, like I mentioned, Santos is super hittable. And while Santos could grapple, I don't really rate him like Makwan or Amirkhani's grappling. I know Makwan doesn't have any cardio, but he can wrestle. So, yeah, I like Murphy here as well. And Danny, how about you?
So I guess we'll round out the trio here. I did play the minus 135 opener as well on DraftKings. I don't really understand why at Bet Online we opened it at minus 275 and then DraftKings opens it at minus 135. But yeah, again, and I don't plan on tracking that as well because for the most part the market's around minus 180 now. But yeah, I mean, I think on the feet, you touched on a little bit with the output. He's much harder of a hitter though than Santos, in my opinion. I think the leg kicks are a big factor on the feet. In terms of the grappling, like Santos, his takedowns are a lot, or I should say his takedown shots are very from far out. I don't think the wrestling's going to be a huge factor here. Yeah, I think Santos probably a late finish decision is probably good here.
All right. And Lou, I don't like the split prop here. No, not for me. Any of you guys like that one?
No, I guess I'll throw it not for this fight, but if you want to get greasy, and not that I have any theory or anything, but Carolina split on that fight probably pays pretty big. Not that, again, not a fight that I have any money on, but if you're just a degenerate, like I know Lou is trying to put money on a split prop, you're probably going to get maybe 8-1, 9-1 on her by split.
Can't go wrong with a WMMA fight going with the split decision prop. But all right, we can move on to the next one. And we've got Mokaev versus Jafel Filho. We've got Mokaev, he's 8-0, undefeated, 22 years old, 5'7" with a 70-inch reach, training out of KHK MMA team. Filho, 14-2-0. He's going to be 7 years older, same height, giving up 1 inch in reach, training out of Nova União. Pat, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, it was interesting to see Mokaev look sort of human for the first time in his last fight, and make everybody sweat that had it inside the distance, or Mokaev parlayed at the end there, but he managed to pull it off. But this is a test where I think it's back, it's not quite a step, maybe like a lateral move in competition in a way. Like Filho is younger than Malcolm Gordon. I do like his skill set, but the wrestling isn't quite there. And just stylistically, I don't think Filho's ever faced a wrestler like Mokaev, so I couldn't really find anybody that had that same sort of skill set. So I think Mokaev should be able to slice through him. He's got better cardio as well. We saw him wrestle nonstop, pillar to post against Charles Johnson and not really miss a beat. So I think he should have a good style to beat Filho here. But I think Filo's good. I don't think he's that bad coming out of Nova União. He's got a good, well-rounded skill set, good finishing potential. But, one of these guys with just a low level of competition under his belt. So I'm pretty confident in Mokaev, but I can't justify the minus 800 or more price tag on him. All the inside the distance props are kind of juiced. So probably a pass betting wise.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on Mokaev as well, not playing him, but I think this is going to be a bit of a tougher fight than the Gordon fight. Like, I think Filho would smash Gordon if they fought. And I did a bunch of tape on him because I was doing Contender Series stuff. And I did try to fade him, actually. I bet the other guy, Roybert Echeverria, when they fought. And that was a bad move. Filho, he's a good striker. I actually think in terms of just straight up striking, he might be the better guy here. Mokaev's been improving, but technique-wise, I think Filho's a bit of a better striker. Not that it's going to remain on the feet. I don't expect it to. I think that Filho, we did see Malcolm Gordon take Mokaev's back not once, but 2 times. One time in the end of the second round, and there was like 4 seconds left. But to me, it looked really tight. I don't know what would have happened if we had like another minute left in the round. And then it happened again in round 3. And eventually Mokaev got the freaking finish. I had his ITD prop there, and I was losing my damn mind. I was so stressed out. And I actually forgot to mention this when we were doing the Hadley-Gordon fight, but Hadley inside the distance against Gordon is minus 190. I'm almost positive Mokaev's was lower. I think I played at like I don't remember. I want to say like minus 135, minus 150 when he fought Gordon. So I thought that was interesting. But for this one, I mean, I think the over 1.5 might be a decent look. I think last I checked it out, it was like minus 160. I think Filho, he is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He is good there. He's got 8 sub wins of his own. He's been subbed once. I think it was in 2019. So I just think Filho has enough to survive. I don't know about the whole fight. I'm kind of curious about Mokaev by decision, not at plus 190, but I'm interested to see what the other books open it up at. But that's really all I could do with this fight. I mean, I'm not going to parlay minus 800. I'm just not going to. I already did that with Shevchenko, and that didn't work out very well for me. So I'm going to take a break from that. How about you, Danny?
Yeah, so I played that over, the over 1.5, minus 160 for a unit. To me, I just think Mokaev likely just smothers him for most of the fight. Filho, his striking, he hits pretty hard. In terms of the grappling, though, I mean, the cardio really goes off a cliff. So I think for me, the grappling success is front-loaded. I don't think he's going to have much success holding Mokaev down, even getting him down that often. Yeah, I mean, I think Mokaev, for the most part, just blankets him for large portions. So, yeah, over 1.5, minus 160, I think it's good.
All right. How about you, Brady?
Yeah, I mean, nothing's really sticking out. I was actually impressed with Filho. I thought, I looked at the line and saw that Mokaev was like minus 1,000 just about, and I thought Filho was going to be some bum, but no, he's pretty solid. But yeah, I think Mokaev gets it done. There's like, he keeps talking about this like shoulder injury. Like apparently he's putting off surgery to fight in this fight. And when we're talking minus 800, that's not something you really want to hear. I would never parlay him at this price tag, but still it kind of sketches me out a little bit. The only spot I was kind of considering is like the fight doesn't go to decision is like minus 180, minus 190 on DraftKings. They have like the fight to end by submission at plus money, like plus 100. Like that would be my only look here, but I could also see a decision as well. So I think I'm just going to pass on this one, but obviously the pick is going to be Mokaev.
All right, we can move on to the next one. This is one that's got Twitter talking quite a bit. We've got Sam Patterson versus Yanal Ashmoz. Patterson 10-1-1. He's 26 years old, 6'3" with a 78-inch reach, training out of Team Crossface. Ashmoz, he's 6-0, going to be 1 year older. He's going to be, what is that? I'm not a math guy. 5 inches shorter. Don't have his reach. He's training out of K Dojo Warrior Tribe. A lot of people talking about it. It was the camp that Habib first came to when he got to America. And before I start off, I do want to say, I said in my last stream last night that Ashmoz is a Jew. which was just an assumption based on what I was seeing. He's not Jewish, by the way. He's a Muslim. Just in case anybody was confused there. So just wanted to put that out there. In terms of the fight, I wasn't even really thinking about this like last week. And then Saturday night after the fights were over, I know Danny, you know him. I'm sure you guys do too. Evan from Twitter. And he slid in my DMs. He's like, yo, what do you think for the Patterson fight? And I was like, I don't know. Let me go check it out. So I checked it out. And then before I asked him, I was like, what do you think? And he's like, I like Ashmoz. Patterson's a guillotine merchant. And you know what? I blame him for me parlaying Patterson. So if I lose money, it's completely and utterly Evan's fault. But in terms of the matchup, so I get it. I do get the angle because Ashmoz is a good grappler. That's what he does. He's a good wrestler. And Patterson doesn't have good takedown defense. We've seen that multiple times now. That said, Ashmoz doesn't have good cardio, and he's not a good striker. So he's not going to be able to set up the takedowns well. And he's going to get tired out, in my opinion. And I can't think of a better fight for Patterson to be a guillotine merchant than this one, because Ashmoz is going to be sticking his head in there. He's going to be going for shot after shot after shot. And I think the sub is live. I actually do have the sub prop for Patterson at plus 400. I put a quarter unit on that one to win a unit. And I did parlay him for 2 units. Let me see if we already spoke about one of the people. I don't remember off the top of my head. We have not, but I've got him in 2 parlays for a total stake of 2 units. I just think he should win. I think he's a much better striker for sure. I do have concerns. He's got that giraffe striking defense that I was talking about, head up in the sky. Ashmoz could clip him with an overhand right that he likes to use. But overall, I do like Patterson here, but I get the dog angle too. What do you think, Danny?
I think Evan's somewhat in the right line of thinking here, really, for me, because I don't think Patterson is a great minute winner. Kind of needs to snatch up either the guillotine or knock you out. I mean, he's dynamic finisher again on the feet, but work rate's not the greatest. He can be taken down. He can be held down. His get-ups aren't the greatest. His cardio is okay, nothing special. But then on the Ashmoz side, like, you know, you touched on a little bit with the grappling upside. I agree with that 100%, but it's like also he's super low level. The guys he's fighting are, again, super low level. I get the dog shots just because of like the weakness overall in Patterson's game, but I'm not confident in Ashmoz just based off the guys that he's fought to implement that kind of just a grindy grappling game plan. But it's dog or pass for me. There's no, I'll be honest, I wouldn't be laying the chalk on Patterson myself. But yeah, I think Patterson's a fade long-term in the UFC.
Makes sense to me. How about you, Brady?
Yeah, I think Patterson is horrible, man. I mean, this guy's striking defense is terrible. He can be hurt. Like, I was watching him, I was like, man, this guy's going to get knocked out. And then he gets knocked out like 2 seconds later. His takedown defense is awful. I think he's very bad. With all that said, I think he gets the sub here. Yeah, I like that plus 400 you got. I wish I would have got on that. Right now, it's like plus 275. Don't know if I like that, but what I do like is kind of like the under. The under sitting around like minus 135, minus 140, which doesn't make a ton of sense considering the fight doesn't go. I thought was like minus 220, minus 210. So I like the under here. I think Patterson's going to find a sub at some point. And yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Ashmoz knocks this guy out. He does throw with power, and Patterson has very terrible striking defense. But I'm more so leaning the Patterson sub. I think he catches him at something at some point.
All right. How about you, Patrick?
Real quick before Patrick goes in there. So Bet Online is actually taking some money on the goes the distance, it looks like. So you might want to wait a little bit. It looks like doesn't go is actually minus 200 now.
All right. Pat?
Yeah, I like Patterson here, but the money line, it would have to be dog or pass for me, honestly. I'm not too impressed with like the resume from, Ashmoz. His skill set is okay. Like he is, a decent grappler, but I don't know. It just seems like that. It looks like he would be a potent finisher on paper, right? He's got 5 finished wins out of his 6 wins. But like a lot of the time, he's like pacing these guys out. Like they're just gassing out before he does, and they're kind of puttying his hands. And he can gas out too. Like if he wrestles too much in round 1 or round 2, round 3 comes, and he might even have his man hurt. I've seen fights where he's got the guy wobbled, and he just dives in for a takedown instead of, keeping on the feet just due to fatigue or lack of fight IQ, something. But yeah, Sam Patterson, dude, his distance striking for a tall guy at the weight class is okay, but up close, man, the hooks are so sloppy. Any short range strike is just just not great. His defense, he just assumes with his long limbs he'll keep the people off of him, but they're gonna find his chin eventually. The fight doesn't go, could be a look, but I'm leaning with you, Mike, with the Sam Patterson, like a round 2 or round 3 submission.
Yeah, the first thing I did once you guys were talking about it, I looked at the Patterson late sub. But it's not juicy enough for me. Plus 1,300 for a round 3.
The cat's out of the bag with that, with his 5 submission wins. I was hoping there would be more. Even when I saw plus 400, like that's I guess that's a good number for this fight. But at the time, I was like, oh, come on. I was hoping to see like a +6, +7.
Well, you might get a good line on when FanDuel does the sub combos, like the round 2, round 3 combo on the sub. You might get a good line there.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that for sure.
Sub mushroom.
All right, we can move on to the next fight then. And this is one that's really close, and I think a lot of people are on the same side here. We've got Chris Duncan versus Omar Morales. Duncan, 9-1-0. He's 29 years old, 5'10" with a 72-inch reach, training out of MXP Fitness. Morales on the other side, he's 11-3-0, 37. He's going to be 8 years older here, 1 inch taller, 2-inch reach advantage. Tapology has Hard Knocks 365. I'm like 90% sure that's wrong. I just don't have his actual camp. If you guys know, just let me know. But Danny, why don't you start us off?
So I believe he's training out of, you were talking about Morales, correct?
Yep.
He's training out of, I believe, KO Gym now in Miami, just another smaller gym. Yeah, listen, I'm a little bit on the Morales side, but not enough confidently for a play because I don't love the pace of his fights. I don't think his striking defense is the best, and he doesn't really have any wrestling upside. And Duncan, he's slow, plodding, power puncher. That's really all he is. So to me, I just feel like this is more like a brawl, pick 'em fight, kind of makes sense. I don't have super interest in anything. I had a little bit of interest in the over 1.5, -130, but again, not one I'm inclined to play because I just think it's just a slug fight.
All right. How about you, Brady?
Yeah, this is probably my 1-800-GAMBLER fight of the week. And I'm kind of surprised money's coming in on Duncan right now. Duncan's currently sitting at -117. They see a lot of Morales love, and I don't know. I'm not a big fan of either guy, like at all. Like you got Chris Duncan has the worst striking defense I've ever seen in my life. Like his hands are completely down. He walks forward, eats punches with his face. He's been dropped a lot. He is super tough though, and he does things. Whereas you got Morales, who's now 37. He doesn't throw much. He has some power, but his finishing ability hasn't really translated at the UFC level. He's a black belt that doesn't use it. I just don't really like either guy. I was thinking maybe the under, like the fight doesn't go, but it's like -225. So yeah, nothing's really sticking out here. I'm actually going to pick Duncan just because he does do more. He's younger. He has that dog in him. And Morales is on a 2-fight skid, getting finished in both those fights. He's getting older. And again, he doesn't do much. So give me Duncan for the win, but you won't see me putting any money on this one.
All right. How about you, Patrick?
Yeah, the money line's a bit right on this one. I am leaning the Morales side. I think he's just a better mover. I think he's got more experience, better counter striker off the back foot, better defense. That is the glaring hole in this. Is what Brady mentioned? Just the Chris Duncan, like he just his head is just a magnet for people's fists. It's pretty incredible. Granted, he did have that awesome comeback moment on the Contender Series last season. That was pretty cool. But yeah. It's tough. I see where Brady's coming from though. Like at least this guy is being the aggressor. If he can avoid getting put out, he could do something here. But I kind of like the Morales submission, to be honest. Like I feel like he does go for chokes here and there. His front chokes are pretty nasty, and he can catch Chris Duncan hurt trying to because whenever Chris Duncan gets hurt, which is often, he'll save himself by actually having some okay wrestling offensively, just trying to save time and get the cobwebs to come off of his brain, get his concussion to go down a little bit. But he could get caught up in a choke here if the right thing happens. So +1200 Morales sub. Maybe a little tempting. I don't know. I might maybe just throw that in a giant round robin just for the hell of it because I'm just feeling that some hunch, but no play for me. This is definitely the money line has been trading between Morales being the underdog, Chris Duncan. So nobody knows what the hell's going on in this fight. Give me Morales.
All right. Yeah, I'm on the Morales side. Real quick before I start, chat, peace, love, and happiness, please. Thank you. In terms of the fight, I do like Omar Morales. For me, you look at his losses, right? Uros Medic, much bigger than Duncan, much more explosive, in my opinion, a much more dangerous striker. Jonathan Pierce, I mean, it's not even comparable to Chris Duncan. They're two different kinds of fighters. Duncan does not have that pace or that wrestling. And Giga is a high-level kickboxer, which Duncan is not. So that's one thing I'm looking at. The other thing is, like you guys all mentioned, Duncan is extremely hittable. I mean, the Borashev fight, I think that's excusable. Borashev, that's his thing. He's an extremely good striker. But the Campbell fight, Charlie Campbell is pretty good, but to get wobbled like that, to get hurt like that, and have to pull it out of the fire to win the fight, not a great look. So I do like Omar. My issues with him are kind of, you guys touched on it too, his age. He's 37 years old. Hasn't looked amazing recently. and his output kind of sucks, which I don't love at all. But overall, I think he's going to outstrike Duncan. I think that he's going to be landing the better strikes for sure if he's not getting the output over Duncan. I think he's going to cause more damage. If there is some kind of grappling, honestly, I don't know who doesn't. Both guys have takedowns on their records, but neither one is really doing much with them. So, yeah, I like Omar Morales. Not a ton of conviction, but I took him at -117 for 1.2 units. I'm also pretty surprised that money's coming in on Duncan. You can get Morales at -103 now, which is tempting. But again, I don't want to put too much on a guy who's 37 years old with low output. So I'm probably just going to leave it with my 1.2 unit bet there. Any thoughts on Morales being a favorite in all 6 of his UFC fights? I actually didn't even know that, but no real thoughts about it, really. How about you guys?
That's pretty shocking. He was
a favorite over Giga?
Yeah, that was early on.
I think it was like -150.
Wow.
Yeah, I think all these people were like on their first kind of run. Like it was their first mark to beat or at least have a competitive fight with Omar Morales. So Jonathan Pierce, though, that one is shocking. I forgot about that.
The only one
was he coming off of his loss to
Giga?
I think that was after his Joe Lozon knockout loss, I think. So maybe that was why.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. The only time he was a dog was actually on the Contender Series. He was +285 against Harvey Park. But that's the last time.
That's shocking.
But all right, we can move on to the next fight. This one is really interesting to me. We've got Jack Shore coming up to featherweight against Makwan Amirkhani. Jack Shore, he's 16-1-0, 28 years old, 5'8" with a 71-inch reach, training under his father at Shore MMA. Makwan, he's 17-8-0. He's going to be 6 years older at 34, 2 inches taller, 1 inch reach advantage. I've got him at SBG Ireland. And Brady, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I'm on the over here. I mean, the over, especially earlier prices, doesn't make much sense. If this goes under, I'm kind of thinking it's Makwan, and Makwan's a massive dog. Jack Shore is -500, the second biggest favorite on the card. So I played the over, and then I'm also going to be waiting to sprinkle some Shore round 2 and round 3 props, but I will not be doing that on Bet Online. I mean, these have to be the most terribly priced round lines ever. Shore round 2 only +300. Shore round 3 only +500. They opened that up at like +450. So I'm not betting them on Bet Online, but I'm gonna see what FanDuel has for those round props. But yeah, I think Makwan, we know how he's gonna fight. I mean, go out there, he'll probably have success in the first round. I don't see him finishing Jack Shore, but Makwan probably can even win the first round. It's just he has about a round in him, and that's about it. So I think Shore survives that first round and then just starts to really put it on him, and I think he gets him out of there second or third. But yeah, I like the over, and I like those round 2 and round 3 sprinkles for sure, but not on Bet Online because those prices are terrible.
All right. Before I move it on to Pat, I want to address a question that Channing Coffee asked us. Do you all favor a heavy wrestler over a heavy striker in y'all's handicap? Me personally, yeah, because that's like an ideal situation, in my opinion. If you've got a guy who only strikes against a guy who's a really good wrestler, I'm going to go with the wrestler. What do you guys think?
Yeah, if cardio is equal between the two, then sure, I'll take the wrestler. Somebody that can take it into his realm. It usually dictates where the fight plays out. Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess I'll go next. Yeah, for me, I'd much rather favor, if I'm laying a massive price tag, I'd rather have a wrestler. Like, for instance, last week, I parlayed up Carl Williams over Brzezinski. Massive cardio edge, massive wrestling edge, and he dominated the fight.
Yeah, that was one of my less good bets of the year. I took Brzezinski there at -115, like a big moron. Oh. Brady, anything there?
No, I mean, it all depends on the matchup, of course. But yeah, I typically favor the wrestler, but everything has to be factored in, like the takedown defense of the other guy and all that. But yeah, I do lean at the wrestler more often than not.
Yeah, I guess sorry, real quick there. How I would ask it is more so, what kind of question is he asking? Like if you say, for instance, if we have a -300 favorite, if he's a heavy wrestler or heavy striker, or am I preferring the heavy wrestler laying that kind of chalk? Or if he's just saying a heavy wrestler versus a guy who is a heavy striker, who would you prefer in that situation? So I guess depending on how he's asking it. But if I was laying a heavy price, I'd rather have the dominant wrestler.
Yeah, I'm with you guys there. And we can move on. We can continue. I mean, Pat, what do you think for the Jack Shore Amirkhani fight?
Yeah, he's one of my more confident picks, maybe the most confident pick on the entire fight card. I love Jack Shore in this spot. It's a good step. It's a good place to start at featherweight. First off, this is at featherweight, not at bantamweight. So interesting there. I'm not sure if you guys have the answer to that. Is he starting a run here, or is this just like a matchup for this one that he's doing just to be in his home crowd?
I think he's moving up.
Okay.
Yeah, he's moving up, but this is not his first time at 145 in his
No.
career. I should
No,
say.
before his bantamweight run in Cage Warriors, he did spend most of his early pro career at 145. Big guy, like a wide framed guy for his height. But yeah, I like his boxing. His boxing is super slick. The takedowns are always set up by something. His cardio seems okay. Not great compared to like the wet blanket of Ricky Simone, who took him to deep water there. But besides that, he should be fine against Makwan Amirkhani. And, as good as the Makwan front chokes are, again, Jack Shore sets up his takedowns pretty well. Never just hanging out his neck there with some far out shot. So, yeah, give me Jack Shore inside the distance. The round 2 and round 3 props are egregious, like Brady was saying. But hopefully we can get something better on like even DraftKings. They're not that great. So, I don't know. Jack Shore, I think, is like parlay material, though, for sure, if you just want to do something degenerate and just eat the chalk.
Yeah, honestly, I'm only looking at Makwan Amirkhani here. I don't know. I don't like when guys go up in weight class. That's the first thing. I really don't. I did try to fade Nathaniel Wood because of that very reason, but he was fighting Charles Rosa, which I think is a little bit of a different situation to this one. My thought process is this. The one time we've seen Jack Shore struggle, right, recently, was against Ricky Simone, a really good wrestler, a guy who, in my opinion, seems stockier and stronger than Jack Shore. He might not have been bigger, but he seemed to have the strength edge there. And I know he ended up getting the sub after first hurting him on the feet, but it seemed like he was kind of Shore was kind of struggling with the grappling, with the strength there. And coming up a weight class against a guy who has been fighting at 145 recently, against tough dudes like Lerone Murphy, for example, JSP Pierce, and he's a really good wrestler. Like, say all you want about him. His cardio sucks ass. He's not that great at anything else other than wrestling and submissions. But what he does do well, he does very well. We've been talking up Lerone Murphy earlier for his fight. He was dominating him on the ground until Murphy got up and finished him. So for me, I kind of feel it seems crazy to put Jack Shore at minus 500. To me, that seems a little nuts. I'm probably going to do exactly what my guy said over here, Victor. I think I'm going to play that round 1 submission. It's plus 1,800 on DraftKings. I'm going to wait and see if BetRivers or FanDuel gives us something even better. And I'll probably just put like 0.2 units on it because I do think in the first round he's going to be dangerous. And I was telling Lou this earlier when we were talking. I'm even considering just doing the sub prop. It's plus 800 on DraftKings for Makwan because I don't know. I don't think a round 2 sub is impossible for him either. I do think his grappling will hold up until he gets exhausted, and then Jack Shore will take over. I guess an interesting look if you insist on Shore. I'm seeing his decision prop at plus 325. Yeah, you're really depending on Makwan not to get finished, but like, how is Jack Shore really going to finish him? Is he going to knock him out? Has he knocked out anyone in the UFC? Even at bantamweight? I don't think so. No, he is not. He submitted Aaron Phillips. He submitted Nohalin Hernandez, and that's it. Those are his only 2 finishes out of 6 fights in the UFC. So I'm going to take a shot on Makwan. I think that's the way, and that's it for me. Danny, did you go already?
I did not, but I'll be pretty quick with this one. To me, I mean, everybody knows what Makwan really is. And in my opinion, he is a round 1 or bust kind of guy. His cardio falls off a cliff after that first round. And that's kind of why we're seeing those round 2 and round 3 prices so egregiously priced as we are, because, I mean, the bookies are already onto it. We know the cardio edges for Jack Shore in this fight. The only thing that's really interesting to me, like the 2 things I should say, obviously the move up to 145 and the fact that he pulled out in October of a fight because of an injury. So I think there's some, cause for concern with the minus 500. But yeah, I mean, I think the over is the interesting way to play this fight.
All right, we can move on to the next one then. For this one, this is going to be fun. We've got Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. Marvin is 18-5-1. He's 29 years old, 6 feet tall with a 74-inch reach, training out of King's MMA. Dolidze, 12-1-0. He's going to be 5 years older, 2 inches taller, 2-inch reach advantage, and I'm pretty sure he's still at Extreme Couture. If you guys know better, just speak up, no problem. Pat, I think it's your turn to start us off.
Yeah, man. I mean, the money line seems wide in this fight. I don't want to get in the way of the Georgian freight train of Dolidze here. I think he's on a great run. I was picking him in his most of his fights, and then I decided to jump off that train and bet pretty heavy on Jack Hermanson. Regretted that one pretty substantially, but Yeah, Marvin Vettori, I think, has got just the cardio upside here. I think his striking is actually decent enough on the feet. It looks a little bit regressed because he's taken on some of the best strikers in the division, right? Like Robert Whitaker, Israel Adesanya. But as far as going 5 rounds, as far as being durable, I don't see Dolidze finishing him on the feet inside the distance, like unless it's some crazy clinch situation where he lands a perfect knee or something. But I feel like the pace of this fight is going to be all in the favor of Vettori, and I think he gets it done by decision. So that's where I'm at with it. No bet for me on this fight, just because again, Roman Dolidze could very well be undefeated if it wasn't for that Trevin Giles decision.
All right, yeah, I mean, man, Dolidze, and we just saw him fight with Duplessis. I have them in the same boat. Like they infuriate me. Both of them infuriate me. I feel like I cap them very well, and then everything just goes wrong. And that's the reason I played Duplessis in his last fight. I was against Brunson, because I was like, listen, I see the angle for Brunson, but I just have a feeling that Duplessis is going to meme his way out of it. And that's exactly what he did. I really hope for my sake that Dolidze does not meme his way out of this, because I did parlay Vettori. I mean, just look at the Hermanson fight. Vettori is going to be the better striker. Vettori will be the better offensive wrestler. He just has to not get meme subbed or meme hurt with those knee bars or ankle whatever locks. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to add on top of that. I think that Vettori is clearly the better fighter. He's faced clearly the better competition. And Dolidze has memed his way up here. And it's been fantastic for everybody who's not named Mike, because I've bet against him, I think, every single time. Except I backed him against Trevin Giles, of course. The one fight he lost, I backed him. So I like Vettori here. Maybe it's a karma thing. Dolidze is Ukrainian and Georgian. I'm Ukrainian. My girlfriend's Georgian. I have every reason to be biased towards this man, and I still try to bet against him every time. Maybe it's karma telling me might cut it out, but I'm going to do it one more time with Vettori. If Vettori loses this, I'm done. I'll bet Dolidze against Adesanya at this rate, because it's a mess. So I have him parlayed with, let me tell you guys real quick. Patterson is one of those, minus 115 a unit there. And we're going to talk about the second parlay soon. But that's it for me. How about you, Danny?
Maybe it's a hot take. Maybe it's a not hot take. I think Vettori should be a massive favorite here. Much bigger favorite than minus 275. I think he's got elite durability, elite output, elite cardio. Like, there's reasons why a lot of guys in this space wanted Dolidze to fight Marvin Vettori later on in this run. It's because, well, Marvin Vettori is kind of the guy you can't meme, in my opinion. He's the guy that has that insane durability. And in terms of the grappling, he can lock down position pretty solid here. He's been in there with guys like Izzy, Whitaker, ACJ. Hasn't been finished any of those times. Yeah, I think Vettori absolutely mauls Dolidze. And I think people are going to get cute a little bit with the Vettori by decision. I think Vettori could finish him on the mat. I don't think Dolidze is much on the ground, to be honest.
Yeah, before I pass the mic, actually on that point, I did play Vettori round 3 KO plus 3,500 for a tenth of a unit to win 3.5, because cardio, wrestling, pace, output, all those reasons, I think Vettori can get a ground and pound TKO. That's what I'm thinking. So that's what I did. Brady, what do you think for this fight?
Yeah, I'm with y'all. I think Vittori's in a good spot. The only thing that kind of frustrates me is a lot of people love Dolidze and they think he's an amazing fighter. So I was thinking maybe we get a better price on Vettori, but not really the case. I guess he could be a parlay piece. No, I'm not parlaying him personally. I think it's a matchup he should not lose unless, Roman lands a big shot. I don't see him subbing Vettori. Vettori should be, much higher volume, much better cardio. Just no reason for Vettori to lose this fight. But Dolidze, he's a guy that just he finds a way. I wasn't expecting him to go out there and beat Jack or Manson. Jack was looking pretty good early, and then Roman comes back and wins that fight by second round finish. But I don't think that happens here. With Vettori, he's never been knocked out. He's never been subbed. So I think Vettori gets it done. And yeah, I'm not laying minus 135 on his decision prop, minus 125. So I'm gonna pass on this one, but I think the Vettori's he should win this fight.
All right, how about you, Patrick?
I think your Patrick already went.
Yeah, I started.
Oh, my bad then. All right, we can move on.
Glad it was memorable.
Dude, I've had a long day and I'm 4 White Claws in. All right, forgive me, Pat. Forgive me.
That's a lot of alcohol.
Okay. Like I said, it was a long day. But all right, for this fight, this is another one with a lot of Twitter hot takes. We'll probably have some disagreement here. We've got Jennifer Maia versus Casey O'Neill. Maia, 29-1, 34 years old, 5'4" with a 64-inch reach, training out of Shootbox. O'Neal, 9-0. She's going to be 9 years younger, 2 inches taller, 5-inch reach advantage, and training out of Extreme Couture as far as I could tell. I'm starting us off here. So, listen, I like Casey O'Neal here. I do. I like O'Neal. I get what everybody's saying. First of all, like, I'll address the O'Neal Modafferi fight. Yeah, bad look. Modafferi was landing. But first of all, she outstruck her like 220 strikes to 100 and something. That's first of all. Second of all, I feel like people just forget that prospects have their moments where they'll either lose a fight or still win a fight and look bad. I mean, Mokaev, Malcolm Gordon is just a recent example, and a guy we just spoke about. I don't think you can take much from that fight other than Casey O'Neal can still put out a really good output, really good pace when she's not looking at like herself. I think that she's going to have a grappling upside here. Maia, even though she can wrestle, doesn't really do it. Not the best takedown defense on the planet. She is dangerous on bottom. She got that sub on wood. I think it was in round 1, too. But me personally, what I see happening here is mostly a striking battle, and I think O'Neal is going to outstrike her. I get it. Maia's been looking pretty good with the boxing, but like a lot of people are working off of this Marina Moroz fight. I understand that Marina's like background is Ukrainian boxing and whatnot, and she's some kind of national champion or something. But to me, she's always been a grappler in MMA. She seems like a better grappler than a striker to me. And as someone who's Ukrainian, my parents are from there. I know it's a very small place, and I promise you there are not a lot of women boxers there. So I doubt she really had to go through a lot of adversity to be a national champ there. Of course, she had to train, fight, whatever, but I wouldn't put too much stock in that. And her getting outstruck by Maia, to me, isn't a big deal. And I don't think just because Maia outstruck her and outboxed her, she's going to outstrike Neal. Neal, 5-inch reach advantage. I think that's going to be really useful here. I think that Maia's boxing, while, yeah, it looks pretty good, it's very meat and potatoes to me, at least what I see. So I like O'Neal. I'm not ready to put minus 180 on her straight. I did parlay her with Hadley. Got that at plus 102. I put a unit on that, and I'm considering her decision prop. That's the other thing I'm looking at. It's minus, what is it? I think it was minus 130 last I looked. No, it's plus 125 for her decision prop. And I am considering that. That's across the board. Every book has it the same, so you can't really shop there. But I kind of like it. I'm curious what you guys think about that. So, Danny, what do you think for this fight?
I think it's interesting because obviously, like, Maia is definitely the best striker she's fought to date by far. But I think O'Neal can compete in the striking, just the fact that sheer aggression, the pace that she brings on the feet. But I honestly think this is more so in the wrestling. I think she can ground Maia. I think she can probably take her down, keep her down, because Maia likes to play off her back, play guard a little bit. But yeah, again, it's not one I'm looking to lay minus 180, just because I do think that this is actually like a stiff test and not just one she can easily just land takedowns at will here.
All right. How about you, Brady?
Yeah, I'm not as high on O'Neal as a lot of people seem to be, but I actually like this matchup for her stylistically. Like Jennifer Maia, she's always frustrating. Like, she's an incredible BJJ black belt. Love the grappling. It's just she never uses it. I think she has maybe 2 takedowns or something in the UFC in like 10 fights. If she would wrestle here, get the fight down to the mat, I might even take a dog shot on her. But the fact of the matter is she's probably not going to go for takedowns. She's going to keep this on the feet, where O'Neal is going to be higher volume. And yeah, if there are takedowns in this fight, they're going to be coming from O'Neal. So yeah, I feel like it's a good matchup stylistically for O'Neal. I think going forward, I may take a look at fading her depending on the matchup. And in this fight specifically, nothing's really sticking out. I think the money line seems about fair, and I don't really want to mess around with the prop. Maybe O'Neal by decision because Maia is so tough, but outside of that, nothing's really sticking out here. Probably going to pass and sit back and watch this one.
All right. How about you, Pat?
I'm taking a shot on the dog here, not betting wise. I think it's too close, and you got to definitely factor in the fact of Casey O'Neal is so young, even with this time off, which was due to like a knee repair, but still, she could be getting better in that time off. It's been a full year. The Roxanne Modafferi fight, yeah, that didn't rub me the right way with her being some sort of prospect, cutting through all 3 of her UFC opponents, which were not that great, but she finished all of those opponents. Then Roxanne Modafferi, in her, pre-stated it was her retirement fight at like 39, 40 years old. And, sure, I mean, Casey O'Neal set a striking record for the division on her, but she also received a beating too. Like Roxanne Modafferi landed like a personal record in her final fight in the UFC of significant strikes on Casey O'Neal. So it was the first woman that Casey O'Neal did not take down either. She didn't really push the issue that much, but first fight she didn't ground her opponent. So, yeah, I'm going to take the dog here. I like Jennifer Maia's boxing. I think her hand speed is better. Her feinting is a lot better. Just a more comprehensive striking game. So if this stays on the feet for a long period of time, especially at close range, I think Maia runs away with this decision. So she could get taken down. She could get out grappled here, but she's been pretty good with getting back to her feet against, a certain level of competition. Obviously, a Shevchenko or a Manon Fiorot, like Fiorot, put up a perfect blueprint of how to, kind of deal with her. But I got to lean with the dog at this point in time until I see better striking from Casey O'Neill. Got to go with the dog in this one.
Pat, do you engage in shoey bets?
I do engage in shoey bets.
You want to make one here?
How strongly do I feel about this? I mean,
I'm really good at losing.
I like drinking, so yeah, let's do it. Why not?
All right, bet. There you go. Me and Pat have a shoey bet. I actually have one with Wiz as well. The one I did with Wiz, all right, so it's probably the dumbest thing I've done, but I took Makwan against Shore, and we're doing a 4-1 shoey bet. So if Makwan pulls it out, Wiz has to do 4 shoeys in a row. And if he doesn't, I only have to do 1. So I'm cool with that. And I really hope he does it so I can see Wiz have to face 4 shoeys in a row.
Well, Wiz is my type of guy, too. He's like, I get to drink 4 times. So that's great. I don't care about that.
But, all right, we can move on. So for this next fight, third to last one, we've got Gunnar Nelson versus Bryan Barberena. Nelson, 18-5-1, 34 years old, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach, training out of SBG Ireland. Barberena, 18-9-0, 1 year younger. He's going to be 1 inch taller. Same reach, training out of MMA Lab. And, all right, I need your guys' help. Who went last?
I think you started last.
All right, Danny, why don't you start us off then?
Honestly, I hate this fight. It's a gross fight. It's like, why are we matching Barberena up with grapplers who guys are just going to take him down, absolutely maul him? It's been the constant theme over his last couple opponents. Gunnar's going to take him down, probably submit him. This is going to be fairly similar to the RDA fight, in my opinion. I think unders are good. I think Gunnar inside the distance is good. I even think Gunnar parlay piece is good, personally.
All right. How about you, Brady?
Yeah, I played Nelson by sub at plus 115. The line actually got better. It's currently sitting at like plus 123, plus 120 on FanDuel. So yeah, I like the sub prop here. I mean, Gunnar's a massive favorite. He opened up minus 300. He went all the way down to like minus 450. And if he covers that price tag, I mean, it's going to be takedowns, and I think he's going to have a ton of submission attempts here. And I think he does get that submission. He's only won 2 decisions in his career. The rest are inside the distance. Barberena tends to give up his back, and Barberena, the reason he's such a big dog here is he has probably the worst takedown defense you'll ever see. Guys, Matt Brown's taken him down 5 times. Ivy's taken him down 6 times. He has no takedown defense. He has a good up game, but I don't know if that's going to work here against Nelson. So yeah, I like Nelson by sub. I think that's probably the best way to play him. Take that minus 400 or so favorite, get it down to some plus money. I think sub is his best outcome. If this fight does go to decision, I don't know, maybe Barberena can have success stuffing some takedowns, working his way back up, and being the higher volume guy on the feet, because Nelson doesn't really throw much. But I think Nelson does get the fight down to the mat and submit Barb, and probably early as well.
All right. How about you, Patrick?
First off, go follow my guy Mushroom MMA on YouTube. He's starting off his YouTube page. Good content there. Give him a follow on Twitter as well. I saw an epic, immersive POV video of him taking his little walk through the casino to the kiosk, putting in a unit, and betting it on the underdog here. And I think that's a good play as far as where the money line is at. That's the value side is Barberena. But matchup-wise, I think Gunnar Nelson should be able to do what Danny said and, just ground him like RDA did and have his way with him. I just think Gunnar Nelson's way more patient. Like, he's patient with his striking. That karate style, he's very all the way out. Once he gets in, he's going to try to body lock, trip, takedown. I think he's going to land it. Maybe it'll take a little back and forth of Barberena popping back up to his feet. But I think over time, Nelson is just way more patient with his positional moves, right? Whereas Barberena is a little bit too frantic. He's going to give up his neck, give up his back, trying to stand up. And I think eventually Nelson just grounds him. And maybe it's a Takashi Sato type situation where he holds him there. Maybe he gets the submission. So it's Gunnar by sub. But as far as the money line goes, I'm going to be rooting for my guy Mushroom. I think that's the side. Try to triple your money and then some.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really to say in terms of the side. I'm on Nelson as well. And I mean, you don't even have to really watch the fights. Look at his stats. Like, normally I would never say cap a fight off the stats, but Anthony fucking Ivy took him down 5 damn times. You can put an asterisk there, I guess, because Bryan Barberena, I think, was coming off of surgery there. But then Jason Witt takes him down 8 times. Then Darian Weeks, I think, he was making his debut 4 times. Matt Brown takes him down 5 damn times. And RDA 4, but RDA is really good. So, yeah, I mean, there's not really much to add. If the fight somehow stays on the feet, sure, Bryan Barberena is super live. He's the better striker, really good output. He's got that dog in him. But he's getting out grappled for a reason because he doesn't have good takedown defense. And Nelson, yeah, he couldn't sub Sato, but I really do think he's going to get the sub here. Also, for the Sato fight, he was coming off a layoff. I don't remember how long. I want to say like 2 years. But yeah, there's not really much to add. I think he's going to have the back. I think he's going to get the rear naked at some point. I did pass off the sub originally, but when Brady brought up that it's plus 123, I actually wrote it down on a little post-it note because I am going to play that. My original read, actually, like I was kind of thinking maybe Nelson by decision, and it was like plus 3. It was plus 325 on Bet Online. That's why I got my interest, but I do think he's going to get that sub eventually. So I'll probably play the sub prop and just call it a day. And we can move on to our co-main event of the evening. For this one, we've got Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. Gaethje is 23-4-0, 34 years old, 5'11" with a 70-inch reach, training out of Elevation Fight Team. Fiziev, 12-1-0, 4 years younger at 30. He's going to be 3 inches shorter, going to have a 2-inch reach advantage, training out of Tiger Muay Thai. Danny, why don't you start us off?
Well, I was going to say it is Brady's turn, but I will be pretty quick with it. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, Mike. I know. So one of my only other plays on this fight, on this card, I should say, is the under 2.5 rounds on this fight. Minus 135. I have that for a unit. I think the speed and the durability edges for Fiziev early in this fight are going to be pretty massive. Gaethje to me just doesn't seem like the guy who can take that punch anymore. He's not a guy who's going to be pressuring, throwing a ton of volume, getting in your face, making it ugly. I think Fiziev knocks him out in pretty brutal fashion. So yeah, I like the under here, and I think we're getting a discount price based off of the Chandler fight going the distance. So decent, good playable under here.
Is that the under 1.5 or 2.5, Danny?
2.5.
Okay.
Yep.
Brady, how about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with Lags there on the violence props. Yeah, I'm gonna keep waiting a little bit. Looks like money's coming on the over 1.5. I'm wondering if that's gonna push this fight doesn't go to an even better line. Like I think it's a great violent spot here. Gaethje's only been to decision once in 10 fights. So in that one decision he went to was against Chandler, where that fight could have been stopped a few times. So yeah, I like violence here first and foremost. I actually thought I'd be playing Gaethje first look at this price tag, but man, after looking into it, I think the damage on Justin Gaethje throughout his career is starting to add up a little bit. He looked off in that Charles Oliveira fight. He looked, good early, but he just wasn't reacting well to shots. He was getting hurt with everything that really was landing from Charles. And I know it's Charles, that's what he does, but just looked a little off. He looked tired in that first round, put everything into that first round. I wonder if the damage is catching up to him a little bit. And yeah, this is going to be an all-out war here. I think these guys are going to stand and bang. I don't see either guy going for takedowns. I think this fight finishes at a pretty high clip, and I will be playing some violence for sure, just kind of sitting back right now and waiting to see where this line goes.
All right. How about you, Pat?
I think if you imagine like the Merab Dvalishvili performance, but in a 3-round fight, that's what we're going to see from Justin Gaethje. He's gonna put on the Asics, put on the singlet. He's going to wrestle in this bout for the first time and smothering top pressure. 14 minutes and 30 seconds of control time. Justin Gaethje 30-25 decision.
I like it.
No, I think Fiziev wins this fight. I haven't gotten there on the money line myself. I think I saw Mike had pulled the trigger in this one. I want to, dude, but man, I was hoping it would be closer, like minus 200. I like all of the stats would prove that this should go under like 2.5, and I like those plays. But man, I just have a weird hunch that like Fiziev is going to, I don't know, just do like the better slick counter striking. I feel like Justin Gaethje can walk through it and it'll end up going to decision. That's just my hunch, but it doesn't match any of the stats. So weirded out by this fight, but I think Fiziev should just, the stance switching, just the speed and the power. If they're going to slug it out at striking range, I want the guy with the better technique and the guy with a lot more weapons in that arsenal. So give me Fiziev here pretty confidently, honestly. But the finish props for Justin Gaethje, like if he's a guy who doesn't go to decision, he's got only finishing equity. I mean, you're looking at what, like plus 350 for him by knockout? Like that would be kind of the way I would look at it if you're trying to play the dog here.
And then real quick, Mike, before you're going to go, I honestly,
Mhm.
that's how I would play Fiziev too instead of laying the chalk. Like if he's covering them again, like we were talking about earlier with
Okay.
Miller, I think if Fiziev's covering a minus 230 line, and this like if it is going late in the fight, like that means Gaethje's going to be able to eat the shots, which personally I don't think he can. So I think if you are
Okay.
believing that he can cover this line, it probably goes inside the distance. And Fiziev just by KO is plus 140 across the board, plus 150 across the board. So much
Yeah, not
better than
bad.
minus 225. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on Fiziev also, and like Pat said, I did end up pulling the trigger today. I mean, look, first of all, so many people are so high on Gaethje here, and I was almost gonna say I get it, but I don't really get it because the points they're making don't make sense to me. They're pointing at the Bobby Green fight, right? As if Justin Gaethje fights like Bobby Green, as if he uses the same kind of output, as if it's just different styles. The two of them are different people, and I don't even want to hear about the wrestling. Like I literally don't want to hear it because he doesn't wrestle. Justin Gaethje has a great background in wrestling that he just has never used. And to say he's going to randomly use it, I hear it every damn fight and he never does it. So I don't think it's going to happen here. And if he does it, as a guy who has Fiziev, go ahead. Because the guy's got a 93% takedown defense. You want to tire yourself out? Be my guest. I'll be happy with it. I do think Fiziev probably gets a knockout, but I'm so sick and tired of getting burnt on spots like that. At plus 150 is just not enough juice for me to, because if we go to decision, I'm going to be so pissed at myself. So I just pulled the trigger at, I think it was minus 225. I put 2.25 to win one. Not going to parlay him, not going to get fancy with it. I do have the over as well, but the over 1.5. That's why I asked you, Danny, when you were saying the under, because I just wanted to make sure
I
we
got
weren't.
you.
So I played his over. I got at minus 150. I liked that. I put a unit on it, and that's really all I got here.
But yeah, last thing I'll add with just the money line, I guess maybe it's just for me, but I think if it goes 15 minutes, I think it's much more competitive than the minus 225 line. So that's why at plus 150, I think even you might say it's not juicy. I think it's juicy in terms of if you like Fiziev in this matchup in general, and you think he does cover said line.
What do you guys think? I'm looking at it now. Gaethje by decision is plus 750 on some books. If someone's on the Gaethje side, you think that's the way he wins, or you think he gets a knockout?
I think it'd be knockout personally.
I think it would be more of an attritional, late, third round knockout. I would think. I would play round 3 decision Gaethje, honestly. Even though that's a little contrarian, we were talking about with the under, but I would rather have a massive round 3 decision Gaethje because I think it's more late finish for him.
Okay, how about you, Pat? Anything there?
I guess that's my issue with this fight. Why I've got a hunch it does go further because a lot of Gaethje's fights, I think the large majority have been 5-round fights, and in a few of those is when the fights have ended. Either he gets the attritional finish or he does get finished. So with 50 minutes to work here, I just wonder if there's going to be enough damage done on either man's side to get the job done. Certainly could happen. They certainly could have their moments, but I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a little bit like that, like a more clean technical version of that. Excuse me, that Gaethje Chandler fight, where it's they're not going to be standing at range throwing bombs, but it'll be more of Justin Gaethje trying to do that, and then he's got a cleaner technical striker, pot shotting from the outside, doing more punches and bunches, getting the clean combination, getting back out of range. So I don't like Gaethje by decision. I think he does win inside the distance, but I could see Fiziev doing either one.
All right. What's Fiziev by decision?
Plus
250. That's line.
It's gross. You're not getting what you deserve on that one. If I'm going to go against the statistics and have a hot take like that, I want some reward for it,
Yeah, for sure. But all right, we can move on to our main event of the evening. Really looking forward to this one. I've actually heard from somebody we all know, but I heard that somebody's coming in to be a backup, and it's on short notice that they're coming in. So I don't know. Apparently it's because of the Usman side. Again, it's one person who told it to me, so I don't know how true it is, but that's just what I heard. But going into the fight, we've got Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman, the third fight. Edwards 23-0. He's 31 years old, 6'2" with a 74-inch reach, and I've got him at Ultimate Training Center. Usman 22-0, 35 years old. He's 4 years older, 2 inches shorter. Gonna have a 2-inch reach advantage, training out of elevation. Brady, start us off, brother.
Yeah, so I remember watching this fight, Usman Edwards 2. I was on my honeymoon, and I had Usman in a parlay, was so confident in him. And then there was a minute left. I was already counting my money. And then boom, head kick knockout, ruined my honeymoon. So that sucked. But I remember saying to myself, man, next time these guys are booked, I'm going to smash the Usman money line. And then this time around, I don't know. I just have a weird feeling about this one. Usman's now 35 years old, almost 36. There's been talks about, the knee injuries. I think he had like a wrist injury or something as well. He's coming all the way to London as well. He's in Edwards' hometown here. I just have a weird feeling. I mean, this should be Usman all day, every day. I mean, we all watched the second fight. We all saw how it played out, but I don't know. Don't have a great feeling, and I'm just going to stick to that, and I'm going to stay away from this fight. But yeah, the pick is Usman by decision. But in terms of putting money on it, I don't mind like some of the overs as a potential parlay piece. I think this one does get extended again, probably goes all full 25 minutes. But yeah, I'm going to stay away from it in terms of betting aside here. But yeah, the pick is going to be Usman by decision.
All right. How about you, Pat?
Don't worry, Brady. I will do that for you. I smashed this minus 240 at 40 minutes for Kamaru Usman. I don't think this is too much of a different matchup, to be honest. We've been hearing about the crippled Kamaru Usman rolling around in a wheelchair to get to training camp for like a couple of years now. It's been still going okay in the fight. So, there are some intangibles that go against him here for sure. But, I mean, the guy's not too over the hill yet at 35 years old. One of the best cardios at welterweight. He can wrestle and strike effectively, for 25 minutes. So, yeah, I got to take him here. I think, if anything, the result that we saw in August, which was actually a great one for me, by the way, too, because I had the over 4.5, and Leon Edwards, the gentleman he is, waited until the over 4.5 to land that knockout shot. So it was pretty epic. But, I mean, if anything, Leon knows that he can give up round 2, 3, 4, and then still come back with a one-hit knockout. Like, he's got to be confident that that's always in his back pocket, whereas Usman is going to be like, look, I'm just going to strike less at distance, clinch up more. We're going to see the return of foot stomp Usman for 25 minutes, and I can't wait.
All right, real quick before I go, fair point by 6-hound UK judges, but I'll refer you to the Islam Makhachev Alexander Volkanovski fight in Alexander Volkanovski's own home, and in a fight that a lot of people felt he won. And I've watched it back a few times now. I had Islam. I also think Volk low-key won. So if the judges didn't give it to him there, I'm not going to sit here and have my fingers crossed for a robbery there. But yeah, this has been a roller coaster for me. Breaking down this fight has been a roller coaster. Their second match, the last one, I went with Edwards by KO, and I did Edwards decision, no action. Those were my two plays. And the thought process there was simply, I don't like Usman striking. I don't. And while he's been improving it, he does this thing where once he gets in the moment, he starts just really winging it, and he's not throwing straight strikes, and he becomes extremely you can counter the guy. So that's kind of what I was depending on. Now, Edwards didn't throw anything almost the entire fight, which really stressed me out. And I was actually watching the fights. I was upstate with my girlfriend's family. I was sitting with her brothers and her cousins, and I'm literally sitting there. Fight's almost over. I'm explaining to them why I'm not an idiot for betting Leon Edwards. I'm like, yo, it made sense, this and this. And we were lagging behind. We were, streaming the fight. But I start getting texts, yo, what the fuck? Holy shit. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, Edwards got knocked out. And then I see the kick, cashed my tickets. It was a beautiful thing. And similar to Brady, I was like, all right, I'm going to hammer the hell out of Usman the second time around. And I'm still really tempted, but I guess I'm kind of hung up on the immeasurables here. The thing, like, for example, the first thing, right? They fought in Usman's hometown that time. They were at altitude, right? I think it was like 5,000 feet, they said, or whatever. So obviously Usman is going to be more comfortable there. Edwards did seem off. I'm usually not a narrative guy at all. I hate narrative stuff. I don't use it in my betting angles, but it didn't look good. He wasn't throwing a lot, and it seemed off to me. And then the injury stuff, Pat kind of made me feel more comfortable. We've been hearing about this injury stuff for a minute. I didn't even think about that, and he's been okay. The thing people have been referring to apparently with the knee injury is the stuff he said on Joe Rogan's podcast, but I believe that was a while ago. So I'm not going to put too much stock in it. I think I am going to eventually just get to the money line for Usman, just put down enough to win one unit. I do think he outgrapples him. I think he's just going to go to the well there with the takedowns and just win the fight that way. But I'm having some hesitation. So Maybe I'll just stay off. Maybe I'll play Usman. Make sure you're following me at Couch Warrior Pod. That's where I post them. But what do you think, Danny, for this fight?
Maybe I'll ruffle some feathers with this, but I don't understand why people shouldn't be playing Usman here at this price. Personally, from a guy who didn't play Usman in the second fight, and we're getting a massive discount in this third fight from a guy who dominated a large portion of the minutes in that fight and in their previous fight. I don't really see how minus 250 really isn't short by a good bit. And I haven't parlayed up with Vettori. I think, to me, I've compared this earlier in the week to a lot of the Nunes Pena second fight. After the first fight, oh, Nunes is done. She's washed. Is she ever going to win there again? Does she really want anymore? Is she working hard? And then she goes out there and absolutely dominates Pena, pillar to post, knocks her down multiple times, 50-40 for her, basically. I don't really see much of an argument for the Leon side. Congrats on everybody, cashing your Leon inside the distance bets of that. I think it was lucky more than anything. It is what it is. And everybody, he was lying like plus 350 in that spot. I think that was, even short at that price. I think Usman dominated large portions of that fight. Minus 250, I think, is great. I think it just, for me, all I'm hearing this week on the Leon side is just a lot of narrative. So the narratives can't outweigh the actual skills and the tape that we've seen. So
I'm sold. I'll be playing him. But all right, that's the card, guys. That's 15 fights. We ran through them pretty quick, honestly. And I'm really looking forward. Thank you again to Danny. Thank you again to Brady for coming on with us. Thank you again, as always, to my co-host, Pat. Love breaking down fights with him. And yeah, I'll pass the mic to everybody in a second. I'll plug myself first real quick. In terms of content for the rest of the week, last night I went live with Gordo Gambles and Wiz Bets to break down this exact card. It was a really dope time. They're dope dudes. Make sure to run that back. And then I'm going to be doing my Prop Talk Twitter space with MMA Propaholic on Friday. Going to do probably 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. We'll let you guys know soon. And I want to put out a PFL video. It'll probably be tomorrow, but I'm going to have to see because it's just a bunch of stuff going on this week. So, all right, I'll pass the mic now. Danny, thanks again. And why don't you tell everybody where to find you, what you got going on?
Yeah, thank you guys. Mike, Patrick, Brady. Glad to chop it up with you guys tonight. So you guys can catch me, John Stargarian, and John Kelly. We just actually did our podcast, the Club and Sub podcast, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. You can find us on YouTube. And then real quick, to address the UK judging comment, I mean, you'd have to think the fight's super close to even think there's maybe a split or a robbery. And the Usman wrestling dominance, I think, is so warranted. And in the striking, like, people want to talk about, Leon striking this and that. Usman outlanded him just in strikes, 185 to I think it was 60 or 70. So pretty dominant there. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be any sketchy shit like that. So yeah. And then appreciate you guys having me on. Down to do it whenever.
So actually, I'm glad you brought that up before I pass it on again, because this is actually something I looked at yesterday when I was retaping this fight. At distance, Usman actually only outstruck him by 4 strikes, which is something that was kind of keeping me off of Usman here. But yeah, I mean, you kind of talked me back onto him, but I just wanted to bring that up. I like to cover everything. But Brady, thanks again for coming on, man. Why don't you tell people what you got going on?
Yep, great show, guys. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, Friday, DFS by Members channel on YouTube going live for my Final Thoughts stream. And then Saturday is Best Bet, 12 Eastern. We got Narco, Billy Briz, and someone else I forget. But should be a fun... Oh, Gordo. Gordo will be on there as well. So it should be a fun panel there. Check it out on Saturday.
All right. And last but not least, Patrick, what's up, brother? Tell people what you got going on.
Thanks for having us. As always, we'll be back for the next pay-per-view on my channel next time. But Danny, awesome to break down fights with you, man. Brady, always a pleasure. Brady, what's the start time for that Best Bet on Saturday, since we got early fights?
Prelim start at 1, so Best Bet will be at 12.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. I always love tuning into that too. It's a good contest. And I'm currently in last place. Goddamn, Lou Betya is in first place. I'm always trying to knock him out with some crazy long shot to cover the distance, and I keep on digging myself in a deeper hole. But I'll have my day over Lou Betya one of these weeks. But in 1 hour's time on my channel, Addicted to Combat, I will be with Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast, running back more opinions on this epic London pay-per-view card. So can't wait for that. By tomorrow night, I'll have out my best bets and props. It should be all my betting action and recommended plays. So check out my channel at Combat Addict 1 on Twitter as well. Good luck and enjoy the fights.
All right. Thank you guys all again for tuning in. Good luck with any bets you got going on this week, and peace out.